Okay, let's talk about performance tuning on the Skoda Octavia RS. This applies to both the 230 and the 245. So let's talk about what we can do in the engine. So let's open the hood up. Okay. Yeah, finally we got the hood struts in place, so that no longer needs this. It's a little slow, but it helps a lot when you're working on the car. So let's start with performance tuning on this car. So what you're looking at basically is two places where you can increase the performance of the car supposedly. First is the intake side where your air goes into the turbo. The other is the exhaust side, which is over here, which is the downpipe and the exhaust going out, air going out of the turbo. So on the intake side, honestly, if you look at this intake, it is a very well designed intake from the factory itself. You remove some restrictions like I have done, like there's a grill underneath, there's a snow grate, you remove that. You open up this duct out of the intake, you then close off this duct, and then that more or less makes this intake as efficient as any aftermarket intake. So you'll see a lot of aftermarket intakes claiming 10 HP, 20 HP, 15 HP increase over stock. That is, in all honesty, bullshit, because the same exact intake is used on the 310, 320 horsepower Golf R, Audi S3, Audi TTS, and the same intake again is used on the much more powerful 450 horsepower-ish TT RS, Audi RS3, Audi RS Q3. All of them use the same exact airbox. So this airbox, if you go by what the factory designed it for, is good up to 500 horsepower easy. So anything above 500 horsepower, yeah, maybe an intake will help you, but anything up to that, I don't think any intake available on the aftermarket will improve airflow noticeably enough for you to actually invest in it. So you may get a little bit of airflow improvement as you reduce the size of the filter, increase the airflow through the filter, but nothing that will be immediately noticeable in the car. Yes, they look good. There are a lot of carbon fiber intakes, there are plastic intakes which look very nice, but essentially they don't offer much performance gains on the stock turbo or the IS38, which is the upgraded turbo from the Golf R in this car. It won't give you that much of a gain. What it will do is reduce the filtration of the filter. The way an intake will improve your airflow into the engine is by making more air flow through the filter. Now that airflow can come through a bigger filter or a more porous filter. Means there isn't much size place over here to put a bigger filter in. There are bigger filters available, but again, same thing. So you have a bigger filter or a more porous filter. Bigger filter will help a little bit. Porous filter will just make all the dust that is in our environment go into your turbo and just clog it up there. So for Indian climates, unless you absolutely have to or you really want to have a nice shiny engine bay, the stock intake is good enough. The stock filter works actually very well, so I would again advise against changing that as well. What you can change, which does affect the car's performance, is there's a 90-degree elbow on which there's a separate video on this channel. That really gives you a lot more very noticeable improvement in your throttle response. This pipe I have put in, it supposedly spoons the airflow in, but you won't see much of a gain. I just like the look of it and I wanted a silicone pipe there, so I put it in there. But what really will give you gains, noticeable gains on the intake side, which you can actually feel on the stock turbo, will be the turbo inlet pipe, which is a 90-degree elbow which goes from this pipe into the turbo. That is a huge restriction on the factory part. So that's one place where you can get instant power. Secondly, the intercooler, which I don't think you can see in this car right now. So the intercooler sits essentially, if you look at it, yeah, you can't see it from here at all. So the intercooler basically sits between your radiator. This is your radiator, and in front of that is the intercooler, and in front of that is a condenser. So the intercooler is already pushed to the limit on the stock tune. So even on a stage 1 map, the intercooler will really net you some good performance gains. This is an expensive part. It is not an easy install, so you need to have a workshop install it, because you need to take the entire front bumper off, you need to take the front radiator support out, you need to get the condenser away from the intercooler, stock intercooler, and put it in. So that's not an easy job. So but it is the most effective gain you can get even on the stock car. Now how will the intercooler help you in the stock car? In the stock tune, the performance of the engine is peaked out in terms of how much boost it can make and how much boost it can hold till red line. You cannot change that without remapping the car. What the intercooler will do is allow you to cool the air much faster. So your car's efficiency will go up, your car's throttle response will go up, and your repeatable performance means that in this car, for example, if I go and do 2 or 3 pulls together back to back, I will notice a difference in the performance of the car. That means the car will heat up, the intercooler will not remain as efficient, and my power output on the car will go down because it's pumping in more and more hot air and the intercooler isn't able to cool that air properly. So let's say first pull I get 6.2 to 100, second pull I get 6.3 to 100, by fourth, fifth pull I'll go down to about 7. So that's what I mean by repeatable performance. An intercooler from any vendor, I think there are a lot of good vendors out there. Almost all intercoolers are the same. Some have a little bit better here and there, some are better meant for track, some are better meant for street, some are absolutely plug and play, some require you to cut down some part of the car. That's all up to you, whichever intercooler you choose. But the intercooler will ensure that your performance is consistent. So even on the stock tune, your car will not lose power once the engine heats up or there's not enough airflow on the intercooler side. So that's one place it will help. So that's on the intake side. And on the exhaust side, the most power you're going to gain is by changing out the downpipe. Now on these cars particularly, the stock factory downpipe is pretty restrictive. On the 230 it wasn't as restrictive, so you could get away with having stage 1, stage 2 power more or less similar with 10-15 horsepower difference. But on these cars the factory downpipe is very restrictive. So if you can see, there's a giant catalytic converter over here, and then further under the car you have the giant GPF. These two are huge restrictions on the car. So normally you just change the downpipe out to remove both these two filters and you have a straight flow. That really improves the performance of this car. One of the tuning shops down south has done a proper dyno of all the remaps on this car for stage 2, and it's making some crazy power, like 350 horsepower, 500 Nm torque is more or less the standard figure for a stage 2 map. But while removing the downpipe, the only concern is emissions, because those two particle filters, the catalytic converter and the gasoline particulate filter, they are meant for emissions, so your car will not pass emissions. And in India, with the emissions laws getting stricter, I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, you can remove the gasoline particulate filter, but removing the CAT will not be a smart move if you have to go for regular emissions check and you can't have a jugaad with the guy who will give you a pass certificate. That's on the exhaust side. Other than that, another thing to note on most turbo cars is this. This is a PCV valve, or a positive crankcase ventilation valve. So what this does is, as you're in a normal naturally aspirated car, the air going into the engine is the same pressure as the atmospheric air. So there is no pressure building up inside the engine. But in a turbocharged car, your pressure inside the engine is much higher, because let's say this stock turbo runs at about 15 to 18 psi, maybe 21 psi and 20 psi up to in some cases. So you are having 20 times more atmospheric pressure inside the cylinder than outside. So what will happen is that all the oil in the engine gets pressurized and it starts leaking out of the cylinder piston rings, and it kind of pools up on top of the turbo or on top of the engine, and this thing basically allows that pressure to vent out back into the turbo and burn the excess oil vapor. And it also does some routing it back into the intake manifold. I don't know if it does in this car. It used to do it in the in the LoRa 1.8 TSI. So this piece, it wears out. It's not as solid, especially if you tune the car. By about stage 2, it'll start hurting the car, and eventually at about 60,000 kilometers or so, you are supposed to change this piece out. Now in India, I have not heard of anybody changing, any dealership recommending you change the PCV valve, but ideally every 60,000 kilometers this valve needs to be changed. It may need to be changed even earlier if you tune the car and run it very aggressively like I do on track. But yeah, this needs to be changed every 60,000 kilometers. Now most people replace this with an oil catch can and a PCV cover plate. It's okay. I mean, for a track car, yes, it really helps. The racing line kit that they make is supposed to solve a particularly oil pooling problem at the turbo because of the PCV. So if you're gonna take your RS230 245 on track, my recommendation is get the catch can and a PCV cover plate which replaces this. That makes it service free. So all you need to do is your catch can will be over here and to periodically drain the oil out of the catch can. Nothing beyond that. And in terms of mapping, there are stage 1 maps, stage 2 maps, IS38 maps which are bigger turbo in this car. Honestly, after my experience with my LoRa, I don't think a stage 3 car is streetable in this country unless you're driving very slowly. So up to stage 2, your car will run more or less trouble free. At stage 3, which is replacing the turbo with a bigger turbocharger, you will come across problems incrementally over time. Means that your PCV will act funny, you will need a bigger intercooler anyway, you will need a downpipe change, you will need better brakes because the power it makes with the IS38 turbo, these brakes, although they are very good, they're not that good. So you're going to need bigger brakes. So the expenses on the auxiliary parts increases. Along with the, obviously you need to get stiffer mounts and you need to get a better dog bone mount. So it's just not the turbo, it's a lot of ancillary stuff which you need on IS38 to stabilize the car and to make it run properly, which you won't need at a stage 2 level. Stage 2 is basically a map in which you have got a high flow cat in the downpipe and you've changed the downpipe itself for a higher flowing unit. So most big tuners so far have refused to make a stage 2 map for this car. There are small local tuners who are giving stage 2 maps for this car, but APR and Revo, which are the biggest names in the industry for Volkswagen, Audi, Skoda cars, they have refused to release a stage 2 for these cars yet. So they are planning to do something at the later stage, but as per them, they will not give you a map if you remove the catalytic converter and the GPF. So that's one restriction we have. There are ways around it. Obviously there are tuners locally and internationally which the smaller tuners have released some maps for these, but honestly, when an engine as complicated as this, I'd rather wait for the big tuners to go and do a proper stage 2. There are people who like to do it on the beta tuners. I'm perfectly okay with that, nothing wrong in that. But my car is pushed on track, or at least will be pushed on track, and that reliability that you get going with a big tuner firm, you may lose 5-10 horsepower over the smaller firm, but the peace of mind, reliability you get the big tuning firm, you cannot get with a small tuning firm. So that's more or less about the engine bit. Hopefully this video helps you guys decipher what you want to do in terms of performance on this car, and hopefully clarify some myths about performance parts, because some parts actually give you power, some parts are just for looks, even on the engine bay, like the intake. So spend your money wisely. Everybody has different priorities. I know some friends who love carbon fiber on the engine, so they even have a carbon fiber cover over here and a carbon fiber intake, but that does not add performance. It adds looks. It looks phenomenally well. I mean, this engine bay looks like God knows what. It looks like a spider web or something, but adding carbon fiber parts just make the engine bay look nicer, but it doesn't add power. So yeah, all right, on to the next video. I'll try to do some more coverage on the underbody aero bits that I put in. I've got 2 more bits that have come in, and to cut them out a little bit to fit over my RS exhaust tips, but we're going to do that in the next video. So stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll put out some more information as and when available.